racist abuse on social media is having a detrimental effect on the mental health of black professional footballers, according to an exclusive survey by the PFA for Good Morning Britain, which found almost half admitting to have received hate online.
And today, football will begin a weekend-long online boycott, which will see players, clubs and supporting organisations go silent in a show of solidarity against racism and to emphasise that social media companies must do more.
Well, we're joined now by former professional footballer Anton Ferdinand, who is part of BT campaign called Draw the Line, standing against hate speech and abuse on social media. We have Aston Villa defender Anita Asante and chair of Kick It Out, Sanjay Bandari. Thank you all very much for joining us. Anton, if we can start with you. It comes to something, doesn't it, when actually it's the football clubs, it's the football as a whole that has to make this stand and plan a blackout to try and make a change, rather than the social media companies themselves to really force people to stop being able to abuse, put this racist abuse online?
Yeah, it does. But that's where we are today. And it's sad that we're at this point. But action is needed. And I believe this is a good step forward. Having been involved in conversations with the social media companies, I think this show of solidarity and unity is something that they won't like. It's something that they can't shy away from, and it's something that we need to get action from. So I think this is a good way and a good step forward.
We included in our report a smattering of offensive examples, and it makes you wince to see it. But obviously we thought very carefully about including that, because this is the sort of thing thousands and thousands and thousands of times that people have to put up with.
Yeah, and it needs to be put out there the way that is. There's no sugarcoating it. That is what happens on a day-to-day basis. You know, I know full well from my own experiences 9 years ago, or 10 years ago, I should say, where I was getting thousands of abusive messages daily. And I don't care how strong you think you are mentally, it is going to affect you at some point, and your mental health will be in danger at some point.
Anita, Anton retired a few years back. You're currently playing for Aston Villa. How do you find it? Do you find it detrimental to your mental health? Can you leave that sort of abusive message alone? Or do you think it's something that, well, clearly you want to make a change to it, but it's something that actually bothers you, it stays with you when you find that people are able to contact you and abuse you like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a massive challenge for all the players that play in the game, because whether you're the player that's affected or your teammates or players across the league, to know that kind of targeted abuse is happening regardless of a situation, you know, just for who you are, your race, your background, it's very triggering. I mean, it can affect performance as well. Imagine if you know that, you know, whatever you do in a sport, you know, you make a mistake or anything, or even you don't have to do anything, you still get targeted. That's a lot for someone to have to deal with mentally, and the sort of mental gymnastics they have to play with every single day when they show up to the training ground or to match day, or, you know, or they go on their social media to just interact with the fans and the fan base.
It's horrific. It's horrific. And Sanjay, you know, something obviously has to be done. You're chair of Kick It Out. Something has to be done. Is boycotting social media this weekend the way to do it? There is an argument, isn't there, that actually what it's done is silencing voices by boycotting. What would you do?
Well, we're supporting the boycott, and that's because really three reasons. One is that social media has become this vessel for toxic abuse, and it's to signify our collective anger across football at the damage that online abuse is causing to the people who play in, watch and work in the game. We want to show unity with those people, and then more importantly, it's a call to action. It's a call to action to those with power, and we're saying to them, you need to act, you need to create change. And primarily that's social media companies. They have the technology to be able to solve these problems, and they have the resources to be able to solve these problems. Now, of course, a boycott on its own, we know that when we get to midnight on Monday, the world will not have suddenly changed, but it's not like this is the only thing we're doing. We're doing lots of other things, engaging with social media companies, lots of working with the government. So it is also about where this fits in a whole suite of things. And I think very importantly for this, we're also having commercial sponsors and commercial partners joining the boycott. And that's incredibly important because they have Power, they also provide the funding for social media. So there's a little bit of hitting them in the pocket as well. So this may be the first boycott, but it may not be the last.
Anton, it's an interesting question that Kate poses, because the Football Times editor, Omar Salim, won't be joining this boycott this weekend. He said silence isn't the answer. I truly believe that. As in a minority in football, that's my opinion, where the ESL caused outrage and some of the most aggressive action in the sport's history in the shortest span of time, racism cannot be fought by white-led social media teams suggesting we go silent for the weekend during some of the quietest times on those platforms. What's your thoughts on what Omar's saying?
I can understand what he's saying, but what I would say to that is, we've seen with the Euro Super League how unity through fans and clubs have got that stopped in its tracks. So let's show unity. And Sanjay said a great point with having sponsors and people that endorse and put money into these social media platforms are part of the boycott. I challenge these guys, Nike, Adidas, Puma, a lot of them, to get involved a lot more than what they do, because we see with Nike, they do campaigns for Raheem Sterling, campaigns for Colin Kaepernick. But is that just monetary for them? Okay, if it isn't, stand with us with solidarity, not just today, but until we see the change that we need to stand with us, and let's hurt their pocket, because we know by what we've seen with the Euro Super League, when people's money in their pocket are in danger, they act fast. So let's do that to the social media companies.
Yeah, unquestionably. Something needs to be done, because it is those messages that we saw in Gargi's report are just disgraceful. Thank you very much for joining us all this morning. Good luck with the boycott, of course. That is Anton Ferdinand, Anita Asante and the chair of Kick It Out, Sanjay Bandara.
And, of course, those are just the tip of the iceberg of the sort of messages they receive. And the Premier League have said in response to the sustained discriminatory abuse received online by players and others connected to the game. Yes, sorry, we know you're still listening. We're just giving a statement from the Premier League. English football will unite for social media boycott from 3 BST on Friday the 30th to 23:59 British summertime on Monday the 3rd of May. So all this weekend, as we've been discussing.
Yeah, it's an interesting point that Anton's making as well, though, hitting the social media platforms financially. We did invite Twitter and Facebook to discuss the issue with us this morning. Neither of them had a spokesperson available. Facebook said they agree with and have already made progress on many of the player suggestions, including taking tougher action against people breaking their rules in DMs. They will also provide new tools to help prevent people seeing abusive messages from strangers.
And in a statement, Twitter said they are committed to ensuring football conversation on their service is safe for fans, players and everyone involved in the game. They also said they have removed over 7,000 tweets in the UK targeting football conversation this season, and that 90% of the abuse targeting players is removed without the need for a user report, which I have to say, it makes it very frightening, because if you look how many user reports there are as well.
90%.
It's even more of a tsunami than maybe they feared, but absolutely horrific. And unfortunately, money shouldn't count, but perhaps hitting them where it hurts there might be the answer.